Good morning and a very warm welcome to each one of you. What brings us together this morning is this wonderful webinar, Support My School Mission Recycling Project National Workshop 2021. This webinar is also being live streamed on the Facebook page of AIF, facebook.com AI Foundation, as well as on YouTube. And a recording of this entire event will also be available after the event is over. We are joined by senior dignitaries, both from the American India Foundation, as well as from Coca-Cola Company Foundation and Coca-Cola India Private Limited. And apart from them, we are joined by esteemed panelists, students, heads of schools, block and district education officers, NGOs, and several other stakeholders, as well as members from partner organizations, World Vision India, Plan India, and SRF. I am Sangeeta Bedi, Master of Ceremonies for the morning. I once again welcome all of you to this webinar. Friends, in 2017, Coca-Cola and American India Foundation joined hands to extend Coca-Cola's flagship program, Support My School Mission 1000, further into a new version, Support My School Mission Recycling. And this has proven to be a great success, implemented across 5,223 schools through 19 states and union territories of India. The objective being to create awareness among students and teachers of government schools towards recycle and reuse of PET waste. Behavioral change and awareness remains at the heart of mission recycling, preparing the young generation to become champions of environment and positive change. With this positive influence, the children and teachers further become key ambassadors of change on issues of recycling and reuse. Friends, Matthew Joseph is the country director of the American India Foundation based at New Delhi. In this role, he oversees AIF's India operations across 6 signature programs in 24 states of India. Matthew has 23 years of experience spanning the development sector, working with the government as well as the private sector, with technical expertise in advocacy, behavior change, communications, and social marketing. I request you, Matthew Joseph, to formally welcome everyone.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Good morning and a warm welcome to the representatives of Coca-Cola, our guests, panelists, representatives from the government, the district authorities, teachers, students, and all the stakeholders who are gathered at this workshop and watching this streamed on other channels. It is a very important day today, being a dissemination and a discussion on all the activities and all the learnings that went into this wonderful program since 2017. For me, it is a lot more special because this is the first project that I had the honor of inaugurating, the second phase in Mumbai, and I had been closely associated with the planning and implementation of this program throughout. Among the many programs that we do, this project, I can't even call it a project, it's a mission that had excited all my staff in giving their best. I've been party to discussions, very creative discussions on how to engage students, how to get the support of teachers, and how to roll it out in a manner that'll stay as knowledge and a change behavior amongst the children who are going to be the citizens of the future. Today's generation is way different from our generation, where we hadn't paid much concern to the environmental factors and issues around plastic and PET waste. Today's generation is much more knowledgeable. They just need that information to make the change. They're very conscious that they have just one planet and they need to make it the best that they can have. This program built the capacities of thousands of teachers, lakhs of teachers. In fact, numbers are mind-blowing. We have worked with almost 10,000 plus schools over the last few years, reaching 18.8 lakh students and 5.83 lakh teachers, and a large number of the community who got involved in this program. I'm excited and I look forward to be part of the deliberations of this workshop, and I welcome you once again. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Matthew. Always wonderful to hear you. Friends, Rajesh Ayapilla is currently heading CSR and Sustainability for India and Southwest Asia for Coca-Cola, where he is instrumental in development of sustainability strategy for the organization and implementing the strategy by influencing multiple stakeholders from regulators, both partners and industry associations. He is a management professional with over 23 years of professional experience across various roles and organizations. His main areas of works are water stewardship, world without waste, and fruit circular economy. May I request you, Rajesh, to set the context for the current webinar.
Thank you, Sangeeta. I think it's a great pleasure and privilege to be able to speak in this forum today. I think both Matthew and you have already touched upon some of the basic numbers and outreach of this program. But if you look at how this program started way back in 2017, it was started as a small pilot with only around 17 schools. But the results of that pilot were so encouraging that we decided to kind of like expand this program to almost like more than 5,000 schools in phase 1, and now covering more than 10,000 schools in phase 2, outreach close to around 1.8 million school children, 0.6 million teachers and other stakeholders. But the more important aspect is that this program is basically focused on children, and children are kind of like the change agents, or who can bring about a way change in the way people look at recycling, reuse, and segregation of plastics, which are all very, very important aspects of waste management. So this program has had its bit of challenges since last year because of COVID, but I think the team was very quick to adapt to the changing realities of COVID. So they adapted the program, they adapted the way the interacting with the students happened. Primarily, we used three models of communication. One was direct teacher student interaction, which was more kept at a more interactive level rather than as a one-way communication. Second one was using technology through the EduSat model, where the content was actually streamed directly onto the schools through their receive-only platforms. And the third one was through community outreach. But the most important aspect of this program, which I feel, is the content which was developed along with Sahas Zero Waste. I have seen this content. It is so interactive, so interesting for the children. Like they have got board games, they have got do it yourself toolkits and a whole lot of other things. And I believe primarily the success of this program is because of the quality of the content and obviously the dedication of the entire team of AIF across almost like 20 states where we are running this program. So thank you very much, all of you, for your time and taking out the time to come and attend these sessions. And I look forward to a great couple of hours. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Rajesh. From Coca-Cola, we're also joined by another senior executive, Devyani Rajyalakshmi Rana. Devyani is the Vice President, Public Affairs and Communications, Coca-Cola India and Southwest Asia. She has over 25 years of work experience in government and corporate affairs, strategic business advocacy, risk management, communication excellence, corporate social responsibility, and sustainability. Her key focus areas include advocating for policies, legislation, trade agreements and regulations, corporate relations, and investment initiatives in India, as well as the Asian subcontinent. May I request you, Devyani, to share the inaugural address with the August gathering.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta. A very big thank you to Matthew and Rajesh for setting the context and background. Namaskar and good morning to all our esteemed participants, children and guests. Thank you for making this time. A very warm welcome for joining us today on this platform, which marks the completion of the second phase of this absolutely wonderful program called Support My School, Mission Recycling, implemented by Coca-Cola in partnership with American India Foundation. Management of plastic waste is a major concern. And in different forums, we hear this issue being discussed by multiple stakeholders. We are also aware of various technological solutions needed to tackle it. Yet the pace of change needed remains so far too low. But why? Because it's not easy to change behaviors. Knowledge and acting on that knowledge requires mindset change. And who better to lead this change than our younger generation? This program is our effort to bring about generational change and behavior among students, teachers, and surrounding communities and encourage them towards segregation, recycle, reuse of plastic waste. I recently read an article and an anecdote about a child in Maine who observed the huge proportion of the plastic waste generated by straws handed out in various restaurants. In some way, many of us are also guilty of such unsustainable habits daily. By the way, did you know that in the last 3 cities of Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore, 710 million straws are generated per year? Maybe that's come down a little bit because of the COVID, pandemic in the last 1 year. So this little kid made up these little pop-up cards with a simple yet extremely effective message that the straws will not be handed over unless actually requested, and requested a couple of restaurant owners to put them on the tables. The restaurant owners bought into this 9-year-old kid's charm and willingness to save the planet. And it worked. What it goes to show is that by teaching children about recycling, you're sharing knowledge that could end up making an actual difference. The habits developed during childhood remains with us for lifestyle, unlike in the case of adults who are nudged constantly. If our children think twice about sustainable consumption, waste segregation, recycling, and upcycling of things like garments or materials, creative D&I projects and products, then we may be raising children who care for the environment, and all this helps boost their creativity as well. It's amazing to see what kids these days create with waste materials. You may be aware about how a group of youngsters from Navi Mumbai use their free time for environment and made a shelter home for street dogs by using innovative ideas such as using plastic to make bottle bricks. Closer home, many of our students who participated in our SMS mission recycling program are recycling waste creatively. Imran, a student of class 7, lives in a village by the name of Tarsali in Vadodara. He studies in the 7th grade and he has a creative bent of mind and is making STEM models at home recycling plastic. As part of the program, we're helping these children as well as adults to understand the impact of waste problem, how we can contribute and do our bit as an individual and at the community level, and what the environment actually needs from us. We're making a conscious choice to educate them on how they can reduce, reuse, and recycle. And most importantly, we are letting them know that recycling can be creative and lots of fun. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thanks very much, Devyani, for that inaugural address and citing wonderful examples of how this project has been a success through schools. Friends, we now have an audiovisual presentation, and we have Mr. Pratyush Das. Pratyush is currently the state head for DE, Delhi and NCR programs of American India Foundation, as well as the India Focal for the SMSMR program. He's a development, humanitarian, and CSR professional with over 22 years of experience across various roles and organizations. Pratyush, may I request you to present the key features, the objective, the activities, and impact of the program, Support My School Mission Recycling Project. Over to you, Pratyush.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Good morning, everyone. Suprabhat, aap sabko. I would just like to thank everyone, all the implementation teams, all of our students and teachers who all have helped us to undertake this program across 10,223 schools as on date, and for all the support that they have extended to us in the dissemination of this program across this large geography. And instead of me telling you much about this, I would invite all of you to join me and watch a small presentation that will enlighten you about this program and how it has been done and the impact that we have been able to reach through.
Plastic is an integral part of our everyday lives. Its presence can be seen everywhere around us. The last few years saw a huge production of plastic as well as PET bottles, which have become an essential part of our daily needs. Worldwide, around 300 million tons of plastic is produced every year, out of which only 1 to 2% gets recycled. India produces about 25,940 tons of plastic waste every day, and now PET waste and plastic waste is coming across as a threat to the environment, and its proper disposal and recycling has become a huge challenge for mankind. To combat this challenge, the Coca-Cola Company Foundation and American India Foundation initiated Support My School Mission Recycling in 2017. Along with SRF Foundation, Plan India, and World Vision India. The primary objectives of this mission were to spread awareness among students, teachers, and community members about waste segregation and recycling of plastic waste, to make recycling a habit in everyday life, and to understand the importance of reuse, reduce, recycle. Sahas Zero Waste created the content for this program in the form of TOT guides, student booklets, games, do-it-yourself activities, competition guidelines, and rally instructions. This content was developed in English and was translated in 8 other regional languages.
The importance of managing the plastic waste scientifically was highlighted in the rally and awareness was created.
अपशिष्ट को किस प्रकार से हम पुनः उपयोग कर सकते हैं इसके बारे में समझाया गया। इस दौरान कई उनको पीपीटी दिखाई गई और कई उनसे गेम कराए गए और बच्चे और हमारे द्वारा एक रैली भी निकाली गई।
पिछले काफी टाइम से हमारे स्कूल में मिशन रिसाइकिल का प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है और मुझे ये बताते हुए बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है कि हमारे बच्चों ने बहुत सारी चीजें सीखी इस प्रोग्राम के अंडर। बच्चों ने वेस्ट चीजों से इतनी सुंदर सुंदर चीजें बनानी सीखी। बच्चे अपने खाली टाइम को इतने अच्छे से यूटिलाइज कर रहे हैं वो वेस्ट मटेरियल को यूज करके कि अब हमें लगता है कि हमें ये कहने की जरूरत नहीं है कि बेटा आपका टाइम वेस्ट हो रहा है। ऑलरेडी उनके माइंड में कोई ना कोई एक्टिविटी चलती रहती है।
तो वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट में हमने बच्चों को 3 डस्टबिन के बारे में बताया जिसमें बच्चे कि वेस्ट को सेग्रीगेट कैसे कर सकते हैं हम लोग। तो 3 डस्टबिन जो है वो है हमारा ब्लू, रेड और ग्रीन डस्टबिन। उसके अलावा हमने जो पेट बॉटल्स हैं उनको हम कैसे रिसाइकिल और रीयूज कर सकते हैं। तो रिसाइकलिंग का प्रोसेस जो है वो मोस्टली हमारे फैक्ट्रीज में चलता है, बट बच्चों के हाथ में जो है वो है रीयूज।
एक स्कूल ऐसा एक प्लेस है जहाँ से हम हर जन तक, हर आदमी तक पहुँच सकते हैं, क्योंकि हर परिवार से हमारे पास स्कूल में बच्चा आता है। और एक जो आने वाला हमारा इंडिया है, फ्यूचर है, वो इन्हीं पे बहुत डिपेंड करता है। जिस प्रकार के हम बच्चे समाज में पढ़ा कर भेजेंगे, जिस प्रकार की उनकी थिंकिंग होगी, उसी प्रकार से हमारे भारत का भविष्य निर्माण होता है।
हमें ये सब करने में बहुत मज़ा आया। हमारे स्कूल में मिशन रिसाइकलिंग के अंडर हमें पोस्टर मेकिंग कॉम्पिटिशन्स हुए जिसमें फर्स्ट, सेकंड, थर्ड प्राइजेस आए और हमें मेडल्स के साथ प्राइजेस भी मिले।
In that short presentation, one got a great idea of catch them young, literally. So we're creating these young ambassadors who are going to carry this message and follow it in principle. Friends, on this occasion, a white paper was put together by AIF, and to present the key aspects of that, we are joined by Subrat Sarkar, who is the zonal head looking into the North and East India operations for the Digital Equalizer Program with the American India Foundation. He holds a master's in political science with a specialization in international relations, including defense and strategic studies, and also holds a bachelor's in law. He's been closely involved with the EdTech sector for more than a decade and a half. He has a number of international and national publications to his credit on technology in education, including a book on information communications technology in primary school education. I request you, Subrat, to present the key highlights of the white paper prepared by AIF on the occasion. Over to you.
Yeah, very good morning to all of you. And as highlighted by Pratyush before me, the program has been a very interesting one. And in spite of a number of odds that we faced because of the spike in COVID, I must say that the team has done a very good work in turning around such a huge program spread across the country. And the results are very satisfying to see at this point in time. So I will just request Guga if we can start the presentation on the white paper. Yeah. Yeah, Guga, we can go to the next slide. So the second phase of the program actually focused on 5,000 schools. And while, as was highlighted before, in the first phase, we had covered slightly more than 5,000 schools. And if you see the landscape in which the program was conceptualized and designed and implemented, which is actually presented in this slide, where you can find that 65% of the pet waste made in India is, if you see, they are recycled. And 15% of the same is managed by the unorganized sector. 10% is reused at home. So there is a huge scope actually in the way the waste is handled. And this program was conceptualized, designed, and implemented, keeping this in the background. And the first phase was very encouraging. And the second phase, in spite of the odds we faced, we have done a commendable work. As I go into the succeeding slides, one can see the results of the work that we have done. So India generates about 26,000 tons of plastic waste and 9.4 million tons per annum. So disposal is a huge, huge issue. And that is precisely what we aimed at tackling through this program. Next. So if you can see, while in the phase one, we reached to around 5,223 schools across 19 states and reaching out to more than 11 lakh students and more than 3.6 lakh stakeholders. In phase two, it was 5,000 schools, 17 states, more than 7 lakh students and 2,22,000 stakeholders. So basically, this program is very closely aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals, especially goals 3, 6, 8, 11, and 13, which deal with respectively good health and well-being, clean water and sanitation, decent work and economic growth, sustainable cities and communities, and climate action. So the program has, the program basically is focused at two levels. One is building practices at the level of the students at the micro level through dissemination of knowledge, leading to practices which leads to behavioral change, That is what we had done at the micro level, and building on this learning to actually make a policy impact at the level of the government. And we have been in close touch with the government at the level of the states. And we envision that in future, it will provide us a good scope for integrating our learnings and grafting it at the policy level. So there is a sustainable change in the long run. Next. So there was an impact assessment study which was designed as part of the program, and it involved both quantitative and qualitative aspects. And basically, the methodology can be divided into 3 areas. One was to assess the change in knowledge, awareness, and attitudes and practices of stakeholders on waste management and plastic recycling. To find disablers as well as enablers for change in terms of what intervention and strategies worked well and what were not well received, and to inform areas for scaling and upscaling for future program design at the macro level. So these are basically the areas which we focused on. Yeah, so we can go to the next one. So the research methodology was basically divided into 3 areas in which provided the matrix within which the entire study was conducted. And as I was just mentioning a couple of minutes back, so they can be broadly divided into knowledge, attitude, and practice. Now, through different program modules, implementation of the same at the school level through teachers who were trained, we were focusing on increasing the knowledge both at the level of the teachers and students, so that it led to a change in attitudes, and a change in attitude combined with practice, which is a very critical component of this program. It leads to actually behavior change in the students, which we have seen from phase 1 to phase 2, because that is normally the way a change takes place. Dissemination of knowledge, use of knowledge, and practice changing, leading to a slow but imperceptible change in behavior. And gradually this takes shape, and it increases and encompasses more students, more schools, and gradually it becomes a movement. So this is what actually we have been trying to do as part of this program. And we have definitely from phase 1 to phase 2 made quite a change, and we are quite happy with that. And the succeeding slides will also show some of the results of what we have achieved. Can we go to the next? Yeah. So while we had done a baseline for this program in the month of July, August, and end line in February this year, based on just previously on the overall metrics that I explained. So the results are right in front of you. And if I were to just capture the key highlights, the results show a 44% increase in awareness among students towards pet waste management, a 30% increase in awareness among students about plastic waste, a 44% increase in awareness among students about recycle and reuse, a 17% increase in awareness amongst teachers about school garden as a source of waste, 17% increase in existing functional committee, by which we actually mean is it is mandated that every school has a committee on environment. While the committee is there as a policy requirement, but most of the committees were either not very active or some of them were dysfunctional. But what we saw, interestingly, that as a result of this program, there has been an overall 17% increase in functionality, which encompasses both activation of committees and also committees doing work more rigorously where they existed and which was not happening earlier. And there is also 26% increase in demand from students to place segregated colored dustbins in schools, a 41% change among students who now hold teachers and school administration responsible to keep the school clean. This is also very interesting. 22% increase in student willingness to practice waste segregation at home, that is a source segregation. 23% increase in recycling of degradable waste material at schools, an 18% increase in collection of school waste by municipality, 24% increase in dumping of waste in specified dumping yard. This is also a very critical and interesting indicator which has showed quite an improvement, and a 28% increase in personal attempt by students to practice the 3 Rs: reduce, recycle, and reuse, and sensitize others in the community. So this is basically the gist of what the study shows and what are the significant improvements that we have made in the phase 2 of this program. So there are several highlighted potential areas for future policy considerations and advocacy, and we have just highlighted them. So at the policy level perspective, we have developing an integration of curriculum on waste management, which is very necessary. Interministerial and interdepartmental convergence, which we have started some work in phase 2 and definitely hope to take this forward also as part of the next cycles of the program. And holding FMCG responsible. This is also a very necessary requirement. And if there are the perspectives for future advocacy are basically to improve institutional mechanisms. Some of the mechanisms are also in place, but there is a gap when it comes to activation and functioning. Formalize the recycling sector and recognition as motivator. So this is in gist of what the program tried to achieve, what we did, how we measured it, and what we achieved at the end of the program, which we just captured and presented as a snapshot. Thanks. And I think that was what I had to present as part of the white paper. And any questions, we can take it later on. Thank you all. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Subrat, for that presentation. And questions for that could be taken up later as suggested by him. Friends, we now have a virtual exhibition. So I invite all participants, all attendees to join us for this virtual exhibition, a journey of Support My School, all the way from Jammu and Kashmir till Tamil Nadu, covering all states and union territories, giving you a glimpse of the impact of this fabulous mission.
चालती होती तेही अगदी दोनों फायदे समजायचे कारण हे तिना अंदर पण कचरा वर्गीकरण अनेक प्लास्टिकના પ્રકારો બનાવવામાં આવ્યા હતા પણ અમે
పంపించిన 8 వీడియోలు చూసాము. దానివల్ల మేము త్రిబుల్ నేర్చుకున్నాం. త్రిబుల్ అంటే రీయూస్, రెడ్యూస్, రీసైకిల్. ఇంకా ప్లాస్టిక్ని ఎలా రీయూజ్ చేయాలో, దాన్ని ఎలా తగ్గించాలో నేర్చుకున్నాం. ప్లస్ ఇంకా ఇంట్లో గార్డెనింగ్ ఎలా చేయాలో, వాటర్ వేస్ట్ చేయకోకుండా, ఎర్త్ ఫర్టిలైజర్ యూజ్ చేయకోకుండా, ప్లాస్టిక్ని అనవసరం యూజ్ చేయకుండా నేర్చుకున్నాం. నా పేరు తీసుజే, జెడ్పీహెచ్ఎస్ నారాపూర్.
அமெரிக்கன் இந்தியா ஃபவுண்டேஷனில் கம்யூனிட்டியில் சட்டம் பண்ணுறேன். மிஷன் ரீசைக்கிளிங் கிளாஸில் கழிவுகளை எப்படி பிரிக்கிறதுன்னு
शाळा सुरू इयत्ता 6वी. प्रीती मॅमनी आम्हाला प्लास्टिकचे रिसायकलिंग करायला शिकवलं आणि प्लास्टिकपासून रिसायकलिंग करायला शिकवलं.
Well, that clearly gave us an idea of the pan-India presence of Save My School Mission recycling. Thank you very much for that. Friends, a short while ago, there seemed to have been some technical glitch because of which a part of the earlier presentation was not seen by many attendees. So we are going to replay some part of that for your benefit.
अमेरिका इंडिया फाउंडेशन मिशन रिसाइकलिंग प्रोग्राम के तहत विदिशा जिले के नटेरन ब्लॉक के 186 स्कूल्स में मैं और मेरी टीम ने बच्चों को वेस्ट सेग्रीगेशन और वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट के बारे में सेशंस के थ्रू, हमारे कलरफुल आईसी मटेरियल के थ्रू, वर्कशॉप्स के थ्रू और तरह तरह के कॉम्पिटिशन्स के थ्रू बच्चों को बताया, उन्हें अवेयर किया, जिससे हमें काफ़ी अच्छा रिस्पांस मिला और काफ़ी अच्छे रिजल्ट सामने आए। बच्चे अवेयर हुए, उन्होंने अपने स्कूल्स में, यहाँ तक कि अपने घरों में वेस्ट सेग्रीगेशन के लिए अलग अलग डस्टबिन रखे। कई बच्चों के स्कूल का रास्ता काफ़ी गंदा था, काफ़ी बेकार था। उन्होंने, उनके गांव के कम्युनिटीज़ ने, टीचर्स ने मिलकर हमारे प्रोग्राम से अवेयर होके उस रास्ते को साफ़ किया, वहाँ पर प्लांटेशन किए और आज वो रास्ता काफ़ी अच्छा और काफ़ी स्वच्छ है।
अमेरिकन इंडिया फाउंडेशन कम्युनिटी क्लास अटेंड பண்ணுறேன். மிஷன் ரீசைக்ளிங் கிளாஸ் கைகளை எப்படி பிரிக்கிறதுன்னு சொல்லி கொடுத்ததை பஞ்சாயத்துக்கும் மக்களுக்கும் விழிப்புணர்வு ஏற்படுத்துறேன்.
దానివల్ల మేము త్రిబుల్ నేర్చుకున్నాం. త్రిబుల్ అంటే రీయూస్, రెడ్యూస్, రీసైకిల్. ఇంకా ప్లాస్టిక్ని ఎలా రీయూజ్ చేయాలో, దాన్ని ఎలా తగ్గించాలో నేర్చుకున్నాం. ప్లస్ ఇంకా ఇంట్లో గార్డెనింగ్ ఎలా చేయాలో, వాటర్ వేస్ట్ చేయకోకుండా, ఎర్త్ ఫర్టిలైజర్ యూజ్ చేయకోకుండా, ప్లాస్టిక్ని అనవసరం యూజ్ చేయకుండా నేర్చుకున్నాం.
You walk into one of those mission recycle schools, you actually see what innovative way these children are deploying to do the waste management. Some of those ideas are extraordinary. Each time that I walk into those schools, I come back enriched and humbled.
I'm happy that we have achieved the targets that we set out to, but it's such a large problem that what we've done is just a drop in the ocean. There are a lot more schools to cover, a lot more children to reach out to, a lot more community that needs this message and to take action. I hope that in the coming years, we'll be able to address this issue in a very holistic manner and make sure that pet waste is not an issue anymore.
A step taken with passion and diligence is bound to be a victory. With participation of students, teachers, and community members, Support My School Mission Recycling became a huge success. This mission inspired the younger generation to act as the agents of change and create a better tomorrow.
Well, hope all of you were now able to access that. Friends, as part of this national workshop, we now have a panel discussion, the title of which is Campaign to Action, covering the purpose, learnings, challenges for waste management. We have an esteemed list of panelists. I will call them turn by turn, starting with Dr. Shilpi Karmakar. Dr. Shilpi Karmakar is a sustainability professional with more than 14 years of experience in sustainable development and waste management with prestigious organizations like CSIR, NEER, UNDP. She is a recipient of University Gold Medal, DST Inspire Fellowship and British Council's Newton Bhava Fellowship and has earned a PhD in material science. Micro expertise in circular economy, strong technical understanding with multicultural exposure, and grassroots experience are some of her key expertise. Dr. Shilpi Karmakar, welcome, ma'am. We are also joined by Ms. Shobha Raghavan, Chief Operating Officer of Sahas Zero Waste, strategizes overall operations to ensure growth and scale up of a niche industry. She is also a CII certified sustainability assessor. She's been associated with the organization for the last 8 years, ever since its inception, and has been constantly evolving various business models as per market demand. An electrical engineer with over 18 years of experience, she's worked in the engineering and IT industry with a strong focus on business, engineering systems, and technology. Welcome you, Shobha. The third panelist is Sanyukta Chaturvedi. Lieutenant Sanyukta Chaturvedi, retired, is the Director for Digital Equalizer at AIF's India Country Office in Gurgaon. She holds a BE Electrical and PG Diploma in Business Management. Prior to joining AIF, Sanyukta has over the last 2.5 decades worked with Centum Learning, IL and FS Skills, IL and FS Education and Technology Services, and the Indian Navy. Welcome, ma'am, for this. The next panelist is Dr. Suresh Reddy. Dr. Y. Suresh Reddy, CSR Lead, SRF Limited, and head of a not-for-profit organization, namely SRF Foundation. He holds a PhD in public administration and has a vast experience of 24 years by associating with academic, government, not-for-profit, and corporate foundations. He has so far worked for several organizations, including the State Council of Educational Research and Training, New Delhi. Dr. Reddy is a specialist in school education, vocational skills, and a very practical CSR leader. His areas of interest include CSR, school education for deprived, ICT for development, public-private community participation, partnerships for education, child labor, vocational skills, and rural development.
Thank you.
And then we have Dr. Swati Jha. Dr. Swati Jha, PhD, is Director for the Learning and Migration Program LAMP at AIF's India Country Office in Gurgaon. Swati has 2 decades experience in the development sector. And we also will have Rajesh Ayapilla, and I have already read his short bio before. He's currently heading CSR and Sustainability for India and Southwest Asia for Coca-Cola. And to moderate the session, we have Ms. Smita Polite. Smita is the Head Outreach and Alliances at Karo Sambhav. A part of the founding team, she works with strategic alliances and has been responsible for designing awareness and engagement programs. With a career spanning almost 2 decades, Smita has worked in various functions, including communications, management editing, and reporting. Before we get started, just a few announcements pertaining to the discussion. We will have an exclusive Q&A session after the panelists have all put forth their views. So I request everyone who have any queries to please put them in the chat box, but they'll be addressed towards the concluding part. May I request all the panelists to turn off your smartphones, computer notifications while the discussion is going on. Also request you to mute your mic when you're not speaking and always try and look into the camera. And please ignore any questions that come during the discussion. Like I said, that we will have an exclusive Q&A towards the end. So it's now over to Ms. Smita Polite to moderate this panel discussion. Over to you.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Good morning, and thank you for joining us for this panel discussion. As already introduced earlier, I work for Karo Sambhav, which designs and implements systems and programs to enable a circular economy in the area of electronic waste and plastic waste. We work with various stakeholders across the waste value chain, including producers, consumers, bulk consumers, waste pickers, aggregators, recyclers, regulatory bodies, etc. So I'm truly honored to be moderating this session, which will attempt to draw perspectives and learnings from implementation of the program, coupled with sector requirements, such that some pointers and action steps can emerge to take it forward. Our panelists today include stakeholders that have worked in direct implementation of the program or are related stakeholders. A program like Support My School Mission Recycling, in my view, will play a major role in this UN Decade of Action. We are less than 10 years away from the 2030 target of Sustainable Development Goals, and real actions are now really urgent. Any program that works with children has the potential of bringing about a significant long-term behavioral change. This program, having been implemented during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, would have had its challenges, but never has something like this been more important than now. So I'm looking forward to hearing perspectives from the panelists on their experience and to draw out the learnings. To start with, I would like to invite Mr. Rajesh Ayapilla. Could you tell us, about the impacts that you've seen this program having, on this entire idea of encouraging recycling and even otherwise?
Well, thank you, Smita, for that question. What we have seen as part of the impact assessment study which was conducted is that there has been a huge shift in terms of the awareness of the children whom we have kind of like touched through this outreach activity. There is also an increased level of awareness, not only in the children, but also in the families, because the children, when they go back and they talk about what they have learned in school to their parents or in their communities, it has kind of like a cascading effect. In fact, most of the numbers in terms of the impact assessment have been presented by Shubhrat as part of the earlier presentation. But one number which has caught me is my attention is that as a baseline study which was carried out before this program was initiated, the awareness levels were just about 30 to 40% in the target group. And it has now gone up to as high as 85%, which is a remarkable achievement. And we will continue to see such kind of change, because this is something which I see as a catalytic effect, because the kind of learning and the kind of tools which have been used to impart this learning, they are not something which people can easily forget, or the children will kind of like retain those learnings, and they will continue to kind of like expanding this outreach further and furthermore. So thank you for that.
So, Coca-Cola has been implementing various initiatives for creating a world without waste. And the Support My Mission Recycling program had more than 20 million direct beneficiaries. But what potential does this program have to bring in transformation? Of course, you've touched upon the fact that families and communities also transform as a result of really educating children. But if you could add more on the potential of this program.
Of course. See, while primarily the program is focused at the schools in terms of not only awareness raising, but also creation of infrastructure at the schools itself for collection of waste. Like initially, some of these schools, they had a single dustbin, but the dustbin was never actually cleared off. It used to remain dirty for a couple of days or weeks. There was no system in terms of cleaning the dustbin or proper utilization of the dustbin. But after the implementation of this program, after creating awareness not only among the children but with the teachers and all of that, what we have seen is that now the schools have got a system in place. The environmental committees are actually monitoring how the cleanliness within the school premises is being maintained. But yes, there are still some challenges in the sense of like the households. If we really want source segregation to happen, each of these households should kind of like adopt the 3 dustbin system, which currently not many people are willing to invest into. So we will have to look at kind of how to incentivize these households. Subrat was talking about the policy level interventions. So maybe when in case the municipalities, they kind of like demand or make it a ruling that households should necessarily segregate the waste which gets collected. And at the same time, the segregated waste which the municipalities collect, it should also be sent in a segregated way rather than again mixing it up in one of the vans. So that I think is one of the potentials which we should continue to explore so that this program becomes a much more wider success.
No, I think that's very interesting. I mean, that's definitely very, very relevant. I mean, if we do not have the right infrastructure in place, then we do not really see any change. But what other support systems are necessary to create an ecosystem where we can get children to act as ambassadors of change? Of course, infrastructure, maybe policy changes. But what else?
See, as I mentioned, an enabling policy would always be helpful in doing that. But beyond that, I think there is still a very high scope to improve the kind of awareness level which we are doing under this program. Like, for example, there was mention of the training material which was created, which was initially in English, but then it got converted into a couple of vernacular languages where they were focused on different states. So there is an opportunity for us to do that. And obviously, we need to scale up this program and continue with that. It should not be that it's a program which has run for a couple of years and then we let it go and it dies a natural death. That is not the target or the aim here. So the program should continue going forward. It should expand its reach. And there is always opportunity to also improve the quality of the training material which is currently in use, make it much more usable, much more interactive with all the learnings that we have already achieved through running these programs. And I think that should kind of like act as a change catalyst for the future.
Sure. No, thanks for sharing. And we'll move on. And I would like to invite the panelists. Meanwhile, if anyone has any questions for Mr. Rajesh, please put it out in the chat box. So I'd like to next invite Ms. Sanyukta Chaturvedi. Sanyukta, you lead the Digital Equalizer program that has primarily executed this program. You have been a part of Support My School Mission Recycling since it started in 2018. How has it changed over the years? And how has the experience been now that it has reached over 10,000 plus schools across multiple states and locations?
Thank you so much, Smita, for the question. And I would like to start saying that it is truly a great honor to be part of this particular mission movement-based program which started in 2017. And I would like to cite a couple of very interesting action-oriented experiences from the field, of the stakeholders, students, teachers, as well as SMC members, the principal, who took the ownership And as you know, it has been shared during our earlier discussions that it started off with a awareness program with a very clear focus of recycle and reuse. What we realized, and my first experience that I would like to share, is that when we had gone for a launch in Mumbai, we had a very informal interaction with the school students, and the Coke senior officials were also part of these interactions. When we shared what is the vision of this program, what is the mission of this program, one of a young student of grade 5 raised his hand, and we wanted to know what he wanted to say. And he came out and said, sir, I would like to be the leader, and when you come next time, you will find the school being absolutely clean, and we have got a dustbin just outside, and it is being looked after the municipality in Mumbai, and we would try and see what can be done about it. 6 months down the line, when I visited the same school again, it was very heartening to see the boy, with the vision. Just hearing what was the program was so motivated that ownership was seen of the impact that had happened. The dustbin was absolutely clean. That showed that involvement of sensitization of the municipality happened by the school authorities, and they took the ownership. 2, at the level of the students, we found highly motivated students ready to share what were the various activities that were done during the program, how they shared these activities with the parents, and what are the changes that they are looking up at doing from themselves as change movers within the school to outside approach. So it was very encouraging journey for us from 2017 between the phase 1 and the phase 2 that we've had. I would also like to share, and it has been discussed earlier, that all the schools are mandated to have different clubs. An environmental club is another I would say process, and which is planned, and you would find, especially in the public schools, that either it is defunct or there is no teacher who's taking the ownership. So this program has been instrumental in supporting and getting the mind shift of the school authorities, especially the principals and the SMC members, that we revitalize the environmental club. And I'm very happy to share that we were able to do it during the pandemic time, and it was in Karnataka, where more than 700 schools ensured that all their environmental activities were being run through the club. There was a leader who was appointed, there was teacher who was appointed. So I would share my experience is that the very underlying approach of this program was to start with awareness, to create a shift of an awareness to taking the responsibility, and a responsibility to ownership. And this movement and this journey is very visible through the presentation that we have shared. The last experience that I would like to share is that most of the states, and in this case I would cite the example of Madhya Pradesh, which came very strongly and supported the implementation team and all of us of going ahead and painting and doing wall painting, first giving us permission and then helping us out with the funding as well, to create wall paintings and ensure it being happening and it being painted in the villages where we are working. So I see, as rightly said by Rajesh, it is a interesting journey. It cannot stop with the program. It has to be a movement where individuals at the level of the students who are going to be, the young, I would say, citizens of tomorrow, because we're talking of the goals of 2030. So it is important to, they take the ownership, the teachers ensure it being, taken forward as an integrated program, whether Coke is pushing, driving this, journey, or AIF supporting and implementing and adding on numbers to it. So this is an important aspect, and while we have impacted 10,000 schools, we look forward of taking it forward and getting into the next level of more of, I would say, ownership coming from the community, ownership coming from the student groups as leaders, ownership coming from the teachers as change movers, supporting the students in their mission and the mission of the program. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. This entire curriculum is not really like a scholastic topic. And how did you've mentioned the environment clubs that you really worked with, but what are the challenges that you faced in, integrating it into the school curriculum, and how did you work with those challenges? And while you're talking about that, if you could also talk about how this campaign, could influence action. How can stakeholders really leverage it, and how to make this action also sustainable in the long term.
So interesting points that you have asked through this question, and definitely we did face challenge, because this was an add-on to the academic curriculum. But what we realized, the way the design of this program had been put together, and it was mentioned earlier by Rajesh, is that we ensured it was very clear, activity-based experiential learning, content, focusing on waste management, getting to the level of the students, because I would like to share that we have covered students across the learning segment, from the primary to the secondary. So the way the content was designed, both in terms of activities, in terms of digital learning tools, in terms of exploring the possibility and getting the support from the government of using the technology, EduSat, in the first cycle of our implementation, definitely helped us as to integrate the program into the training, or I would say into the calendarization of the school activities. So we were mindful of the fact that the program is an enrichment program with a very clear focus, building the children for the next, against the waste management problem, which is one of the biggest problems that all of us are facing, and especially when we talk of ourselves in the rural and the urban part of the country. So it was integrated into the curriculum. We also were very conscious of the fact that the teachers, the principals, who are the key change movers, were the first point of contact for us, and the first and their capacity building, their ownership, their buy-in was something which was taken into the program. And these sessions were scheduled through the phase of the year, ensuring the academic plus the co-academic inputs that we were providing were integrated as we went along. I agree with you. If we are looking at the sustainability of any program, and for that matter, when it comes to very specific to this program, where there is an element of taking ownership. It has to be integrated in the academics of the curriculum. Waste management definitely needs to be integrated as part of the regular curriculum, and we've been looking at advocacy elements where since we are working with the education department, how do we go about having this as an integrated part and making it very grade specific, simple, very very clear messaging, so that the children understand and they are able to take the ownership as the part of their learning in the schooling years.
Thank you, Sangeeta, for sharing. As stated earlier, we are moving on to the next panelist, but if anyone has questions specifically for Sangeeta, please put it in the chat box. I'll move on to Ms. Shobha Raghavan. Shobha, I believe you have slides that you will be sharing, and I hope you will be covering, of course, your content is what has really made this program very, very successful. But what are the policy changes, or are there any elements of this policy in waste management is constantly changing, more so in plastic waste. So are there any elements of the policy changes that you integrated into the curriculum, or you would recommend integrating later? Also, if you could cover what age groups this program is relevant for, or do you think it can be relevant for all age groups, and does it have to be customized according to age groups? For real action on the ground, as we have been talking and other panelists have also been sharing, what suggestions would you have in particular?
Sure. Should I share my screen?
Please go ahead.
My screen is visible, right?
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the two topics I would like to touch upon based on your questions, and how are we going to embed these programs at a national policy level and at a school level? So we all know that these schools are ideal platforms for delivering through life skills education on environment health, sustainable production and consumption, and climate change that promote healthy behaviors, benefiting children, families, their peers, and wider communities. So at a national policy level, school standards need to be updated with a curriculum on climate change and education for sustainable development. I think so far we have been talking about waste. I mean, these programs like that conducted by AIF are so deep in content that children have now started understanding what is waste. They know what is segregation of waste. They understand wet waste, dry waste. They understand simple terminologies around waste. And they know what are the issues with plastic and what are their responsibilities. But going to a much higher perspective of bringing education through sustainable development. So now in maybe last 5 years, what has changed is the people are now talking about sustainable production and consumption. And there is no better time for us to instill into the children that consumption is to be watched upon, because that is going to be the starter for creating of waste. And then is going to take us to a much larger problem of climate change. Similarly, at a school level, if we can ensure the school community are having dialogues on environmental topics. So school and community are very important because they are very closely bound to each other. And by instituting school-based measures to introduce best practices on waste management with in-house infrastructure. So that is very important, because once the kids, just like they go to a chemistry lab or physics lab and they get a feel of, oh, this is what we are studying in the books, then they go and do experiments. So similarly, if we can have something like a waste experience center, where the kids can kind of see the different kinds of waste we are generating because of consumption, they can go and understand the waste categories in a more practical way, and then they can also attach the science concepts of each of these materials. So this is more like a material experience lab, where they understand how this material is manufactured, and as they grow older, they study how this material is actually made and how this material can be broken down. So that kind of a feeling, just like we're having the other labs, this will really instill that this is a mandatory subject that they need to understand and learn, and it is very well integrated into their lives. So this is about embedding programs at the national and school levels. Yeah. 1 second. Yeah. The next thing is about how do we promote climate action through children. So this has become a very crucial game changer for us. First is about advocating for adults and children to be included in global, national, and local dialogues related to climate and environment policy, prioritize, legislate, and social accountability. Now, it is when I particularly use the word adolescents because we are talking about an age group of maybe starting from 10 to 18 or 20, because this is important that their views are heard. They understand how to develop legislative skills. They talk about social accountability. It's a great age to instill this responsibility onto them and include them in these large dialogues. Then it's about strengthening platforms and mechanisms such as student councils, youth clubs, local institutions, and community-based organizations to engage these adolescents meaningfully in a national and international negotiations and platforms. So moment they get included in these mechanisms, they feel that yes, their voice is heard. I think with Greta Thunberg coming out in the open and questioning the government, questioning the leaders, questioning the different country heads, this has become like a way forward on how we can encourage children to participate in such important topics that matter to them. Then is promoting the engagement of children and adolescents in processes and accountability mechanisms that allow them to express their views, gather inputs, and influence decisions or actions on environment and climate change. So again, the concept of engagement, which we are talking about even in a corporate life, the same thing is applicable for them, because when they get engaged, they add more value and they understand the problem better and they want to bring out solutions. That also brings up a lot of entrepreneur skills when they are actually ready to face the market. Supporting skills learning for children and adolescents, both in and out of schools, to build their capacities, confidence, and abilities around leadership, communication, to promote their environmentally sustainable lifestyles and to help them set an example for their communities. So again, they are very integrated with the communities, and it becomes very important for them to build the skills at school and then come and engage with the communities where they live, so that the communities whom we are not able to change otherwise are influenced by the children and their questions and their experiences at school. And finally, appointing these children as advocates, climate or environment advocates, in recognition of their unique perspectives and contributions on this agenda, and work with these children in fighting climate change, helping them to inspire others to take actions around climate and environment. So these are some views I had as part of this discussion.
Thank you. These are very, very relevant. I think anyone working with children will find these insights very, very valuable. So thank you for sharing this. Moving on, I would like to call upon Dr. Swati Jha, Director of LAM. Dr. Swati, you lead a program that is focused on migrant communities, and more importantly, you through a community model of program implementation. How did the Support My School Mission Recycling program make an impact on the mobile or migrant community? If you could share your experiences.
Sure. So, you see, when we talk about migrant communities, these are basically in rural and under-resourced areas, regions. So, and this was the first year that we implemented this intervention, that too in a scenario impacted by COVID-19. Schools were closed, and when we work in communities, we establish multiple linkages with the communities by setting up of a learning resource center, and our existing program enabled us to intervene it quickly. But then with the migrant community, the issue is that they largely keep going to one state or to another state, one district to another district, depending on the state where they are in. So children also migrate with them. In school, the challenges such as infrastructure and quality education is also something which usually doesn't attract parents or children to school. So this intervention basically helped us in sensitizing communities and children as to the importance of having waste management for a safe environment, how to have safe disposal of plastic waste particularly, and sensitizing them accordingly. Working with communities and SMCs, particularly school management committees, we identified budgets, within schools where they can have allocation for waste dustbins and all, particularly under Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, because every school is given a particular grant on Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and how to leverage it. So our basically idea was to leverage whatever existing grants are there, how community can access that through SMCs, and how this can be can connect both community and schools. So this was one of the areas, and there is any intervention where children benefit, community takes the ownership. So be it organizing awareness workshops, be it taking out rallies, our community was ever willing to provide a platform for that. And this was, since I said that this was first year, there is a need to have a continuity of engagement. And I completely agree with what Dr. Shobha said, that there is a need for such labs which will sensitize children from the very beginning. And schools have this scope of having these labs. And, this is basically, this is the intervention with the communities that we are working in. But when we talk about migrant communities, it's also a lot of participation from non-migrant communities as well, because migrants, they go away from one place to another, but it's the non-migrant which actually help us in implementing all the interventions from migrant communities in these areas. So this is basically what I would like to.
Yeah. No, thank you. And could you also share a few, highlights of your experience, in bringing about change in the perspective? Any insights that you have where, now you see that the children are really serious and concerned about the issue?
So, you see, waste is something which is actually reaching rural areas also. Use of plastic bottles and plastic Tetra packs and everything is widespread, and rural areas really do not have that kind of waste management mechanism which maybe urban areas are coming up with. So there's a need for a collective and combined effort that we need to do. And schools really can play a very critical role in this. And it's mostly in rural areas, like I said, schools, they don't have inclination towards these interventions because there's no platform for them. But once these platforms are created, then the need is kindled, and there is a buy-in, there's a lot of support from community, or the need is to just create that platform for them for the continuity of these interventions. So, everything which is there in the EVS books actually comes with the hands-on experience for children. So they are able to relate to what they read and what they do. So these activity-based learning, these hands-on activities really help them understand. And I mean, with the presentations we saw about children being totally involved in these activities is an example. This is like what I would like to present as a perspective here, that there is an inherent need to integrate it with the system, and new education policy also is emphasizing on a lot of extracurricular activities. So that can also be leveraged to make it more streamlined and aligned with the mainstream education.
Sure. Thank you. So moving on, I would like to invite Dr. Suresh Reddy, Director of SRF Foundation. Dr. Suresh, you have been an implementing partner with AIF across the two phases, one under normal circumstances and one during COVID times. So how were the two experiences different? Do you perceive a change in the community, a sustainable change through these student ambassadors?
Yeah. So thank you, Smita. When we started this program in the first phase, we covered just 52 schools, spread across 3 locations. So when we got to the second phase, the number of schools have scaled up from 52 to 143 and 14 locations. So if you see that the schools who participated in the first phase, they have 1 round of experience of doing the program. And in the second phase, we have the mix of both the first phase schools and the new schools added to the program. So, and one more difference I can see that, in the first phase, the things happened in physical form. So whatever the trainings we did it, whatever the events we organized, whatever the rallies we conducted, whatever the demos we did it, everything happened in physical form. When in the second phase, due to COVID, and so the physical form was a little more kind of hybrid, I can say that, especially during the unlockdown phase, 1, 2, 3 situation. So where a little bit of children's participation in the activities, but more than 50% is more happened in the hybrid, virtual mode. When I say virtual mode, as in a foundation, we work with the schools for holistic transformation of the education there. And as a part of this journey, we formed various WhatsApp groups across the schools for academic purpose. The same groups we made use of it, reaching the children and the waste management. That is one thing. And second thing, as an organization, we have created a lot of digital platforms like mobile digital buses. And also we have used the online, the platforms like Google Meet or Zoom or Cisco WebEx. These are the platforms we use to reach the children and the teachers and organizing various events as well. So that is the difference between the first phase and the second phase, especially in the second phase point of time. We also promoted a concept called like a master maker and a miss maker. So as being a children, to encourage them, and given the different themes and different weeks, so how to create the things from the waste, how to develop the science models and kind of thing, and how to create your own the kitchen gardens, like that. So given the competitions, weekly based competitions, and facilitated sharing those things, cutting across all the locations. That is the one beauty of this thing happened during the COVID in a virtual mode. When we are doing the physical mode, it was restricted to only the particular location, what we used to do, and shared within that location only the best practices. When this virtual mode, when we did it, the children from Assam, the children here in Gujarat, and Madhya Pradesh and Dehradun in Northeast, in North State. So they have been connected and they have been sharing what they have done at each location. So this is one thing facilitated very well. So the positivity I'm talking about using the virtual medium in this program. That's how we did it in the first phase and the second phase, Smita.
Okay. So that's very interesting to have that advantage during COVID times. Despite the challenges, there were certain advantages. So SRF Foundation has also been working on community transformation through various interventions in education and leadership. What was different in this program?
When you say that when we go to work with any government school, we try to transform the school in holistic manner, addressing all the aspects of the schooling, like the physical transformation, how to make the toilets functional, drinking water functional, facilities of furniture, the teachers' tools and the sports equipment, all those things. The academic transformation, mostly training the teachers and providing the workshop for children. And digital transformation, try to equip the lot of digital platforms in the schools and communities to provide opportunity for children and teachers to participate. When say leadership transformation, we talk about the schools belongs to them. If we are from outside going to the school, we try to assist, extend our support to those people who are involved in the school development process. The headmaster, who is the head of the school, the teachers who are teaching there, and the parents and the school management committees. The school belongs to that village and they are managing it, and the local government authorities. So the school belongs to all of these people. So when we involve them, engage them in their own school development process, we promote the leadership. And when we come to this program point of view, how we promote the leadership and their involvement and kind of thing. So in every school, to promote the leadership among the students also, we created the Swachha Vidyalaya committees, aligning with the National Swachha Bharat flagship program. In all of our schools, wherever we are working in 24 locations in 12 states, in each and every school, we have created the Swachha Vidyalaya committees with a group of students comprising of 16 students. And these 16 students are divided into 8 different teams, and each team is taking care of the one particular element of the Swachha Bharat issue. So like the waste management is one of the issues of the 8 teams we talk about, the committee takes care of it. So this is an opportunity for them. It is not only in the school, how they have to make the school neat and clean and maintaining the facilities, managing the midday meal waste, or creating the kitchen gardens, or creating the school beautification with various ideas and kind of thing. So these are the things they do, and how they can take it forward to their homes as well, because they come to the school for a certain period of time, but rest of the time they're at home in the village where they live. So how they can take it forward to the homes and the community at a large and kind of thing. So through this program, especially in the concept of waste management, and especially PET waste and plastic waste, this is something the awareness creation, sensitization that is actually calculated down through these committees beyond the school boundaries to the large. And this is going to be continuous, a sustainable way of, from AIF or Coca-Cola, the phase is over. But we at the school, we have been there, we are going to be there, so sometime. And we build this behavioral change among these people, and they will take it forward.
Thank you. So you do see this being like a sustainable change.
Yes.
As a direct result of this program.
Yes.
Thank you. I hope we do have questions coming in the chat. And
can I add one more thing, Smita?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So when you say the sustainable change we are bringing here, and through this program, one thing, it actually helped the children to think differently, especially the creativity and design thinking process. It evolved. So when you say the understanding about the waste, segregation of the waste, and you talk about the reuse, how to reuse the waste what they collected. So here, actually, the opportunity they got, how they can think creatively, how they can design the various products, by using the recycling of the waste. When talking about the flower gardens or kitchen gardens or rooftop gardens or science models, or maybe the dustbins, or the pen stands, showcase pieces. These are all things they have developed Here, this program helped them in the creativity part and design thinking process. That is very much required, not only for the waste management, but also anything they take up in the life, in the future. The citizens in the country, how they can follow this creative design thinking process and also understand the concept of the waste in much more broader sense and how to create wealth from it. That is those things they learn. Thank you.
No, thank you. So creative thinking, design process, I think that would be really, add a lot to, whatever the students have been learning. So moving on, I would now invite Dr. Shilpi Karmakar to, share her views, and she has a technical background, and UNDP has been working extensively in India and globally in the area of waste. So I'd like to ask you on what impact, according to you, has the program made with respect to the UN Sustainable Development Goals?
Thank you, Smita. First of all, I would like to congratulate the entire team and the participants for such a wonderful initiative. What AIF and Coca-Cola India together has done is impacting directly at the grassroots level. And as we all know that it is much easier for children to adopt any new changes, any constructive new changes and new objectives. So this initiative, which is through Support My School Mission Recycling, is actually imparting the right knowledge at an early level. So all the SDGs that we talk about, not only the one which are being directly touched by the project, all the 17 SDGs, they get to know about what impact that SDG is going to make in their life and their nearby community. When we talk about, passing on the technical understanding, like Ms. Shobha said, that having a material lab, it is such an amazing thought process, that at an early level, at a school level, what product you are using, and understanding how your consumption is going to impact at a global level. It is something, the right approach we need to adopt at this point of time. And as also mentioned by several other speakers, that the generation right now is much aware and much conscious about the environmental impact, and they are much receptive about the knowledge or the practices that would be called as sustainable practices. So definitely building such type of projects, such type of mission mode project, I would say rather, is going to change the way we look at our resources. At the moment, we call them as waste, but it will be very soon in near future that our next gen would call them as resources and would be addressing them in the right way. The practices that has been adopted in various schools, like one of the example which Chaturvedi shared, that after the intervention, the school was really clean, the dustbins were maintained. This is a very nice indicator, very successful indicator, saying that the mission has been successfully accomplished. And once this has been adopted, this practice of recycling or being resource efficient or environment management, once this has been adopted by students, by the children, or by the citizen in common, handling waste at a larger level, say at a municipality or a city level, would become much easier, much economical. The challenges that we see as of now, as a technical person, what I see, why our waste management systems are not completely sustainable, is because of the economics. Once it is being mixed, the dry and the waste and the hazardous waste, once it's mixed, it loses its value. Secondly, it becomes much difficult and highly human resource intensive to separate them. So
if the common public, if the students or the children's start practicing that at a household level, you are going to save 1/3 resources that is being invested as on today on waste management, and that could be actually used somewhere else. Now, the initiatives like this type of, where we talk about recycling, not only the plastic waste, but other material also, like donating cloth, or like using the amount of food that is required only to map the consumption pattern. What we are teaching them is not only recycling or conservation or resource efficiency, we are imparting empathy into them. We are teaching them that, like what the world needs today as a human, what they expect. So, like it is actually imparting empathy into them. It is like building their EQ. IQ is already much, much stronger than our generation. So it's more about building their EQ. And that is going to be really a sustainable change. You may not need to, down the line, 3 years from now, you may not need to go to schools and teach them about segregation. You may be talking them to start in an economical model to start this type of sort of like initiative and take it up to as an enterprise or like a startup model. So definitely, I would say this initiative is completely sustainable, and it is going to, in a long run, impact all the SDGs, not only limited to the 3 SDGs which are being directly touched about this project.
Yeah, very interesting insights. To add on to this, if you could talk about what role do students play in this whole system of circular economy and EPR, and how significant it is. And of course, you've talked about how the infrastructure is required, but are there any aspects that could be simplified when the program that is being imparted, the content that is being imparted, for easy communication, to inspire action?
Okay, so Swati, certainly infrastructure is the main component for any type of circular economy that we are talking about in today's world. Without infrastructure, it would be really difficult to execute or enable anyone to deliver such type of environmental goals. Students, when we communicate, when we deliver these type of, when we are delivering the knowledge to the student through a structured model, what we are doing is we are enabling a dissemination platform. These students will again further down the line will upgrade these type of knowledge and convert it into a layman knowledge and pass it on to the society, which we may not be directly able to touch as of now. And their reach is much, much higher as compared to our reach, So once you have reached out to one student, explain them the importance of circular economy, the importance of the subject that we are talking about, that particular children is going to pass it on to their grand generations and to their parents and even to their siblings. So what we are doing under this entire thing, it is actually creating a much resilient dissemination platform. So definitely they are going to be a very important component while achieving the national goal of circular economy. So I completely agree with what all the speakers have been saying.
Thank you. Thank you, Shilpi.
Thank you so much.
So I think, so now we will start taking questions from the audience. I already have one question, so I'll take it now. Gravitas published a news, so this is about plastics. So Gravitas published a news saying a tiny piece of plastic was found in mother's womb. So plastic has gone to that extreme that it's exploiting life. So essentially it's participant is asking if we will definitely be able to use plastic mindfully. Is there any assurity? I mean, we know that plastics are also very essential. I mean, rockets have plastics, pacemakers have plastics, but how do we really ensure that we will be able to use plastic mindfully? I would like to pose this to Rajesh, if you could take that question.
Yeah, Smita, I think you have partly already answered the question in terms of plastics. Plastics as a material entered into our lives a couple of decades back, and it is kind of like always been mentioned as the wonder material because of the multiple kinds of uses which can be put into it. Now, there have been a whole lot of discussions in terms of utility of plastics. At the same time, what plastics contribute into the waste management stream. So, I think the focus or the attention here should be towards how do we kind of like manage the entire ecosystem related to plastics. How do we ensure that we get a circularity into the entire recycling streams? And as we have been discussing since morning, it starts with all of us as consumers. It starts at our home when we do the source segregation. So that is the first starting point to ensure that plastics get into the recycling stream and get recycled. And that will also to an extent reduce the dependence on usage of more virgin plastics and get into that recycling stream. So to cut the long answer short, I think plastics are a useful commodity. It's up to humanity to use them in a more responsible manner.
Thank you.
If I would like to add to what Rajesh already said. I think the problem is on single-use plastics, and if we focus on single-use plastics to start with, I think the other plastics are, of course, used at a very highly engineered and technology level. So that would not be an issue. But we are talking about working around all systems, processes, habits, behavioral changes around SUPs that will solve a lot of the problems that we have been talking in the last 5 to 10 years, whether it is marine litter, whether it is this kind of plastics entering the human system through the soil and the food we eat. That will kind of bring down the issue around plastic to a great extent. And then obviously in the next 5 to 10 years, we will see another big problem that is coming out of plastic, which is something we'll have to again try to engineer and see how to solve that problem.
Yeah. I think there's another participant who was asking, and this is related to the same question, where sunscreen, non-stick pans, anything that is water resistant is supposed to have plastics. So how do we consume without knowledge, and saying that it's scary and there is no way to protect ourselves? But I think between you and Rajesh, you have actually even covered this. But if you would like to add to this, anyone else would like to add to this? Any other panelist? I think this has been covered, so we will move on to the next question. What are the various advocacy issues that will be addressed through this program in future? And how to bring about behavioral change in students to practice waste segregation, recycling, etc. So I would like to invite either Sanyukta or Dr. Suresh Reddy to take this up. What are the various advocacy issues that will be addressed through this program in future?
If I could come first here. This is the point we have discussed, all of us in the panel have discussed about it, is that if we are looking at, a sustainable achievement of this particular problem and an issue, it will have to be pulled up from the awareness to the behavioral change in terms of intervention that we are doing to the involvement of the government. So integration and ownership at the level of the government, be it the district authorities, be it further up, at the state level, would be a very important element. So as individual young citizens, awareness is being built up, they are taking the ownership and taking it forward, passing it on, as rightly said by Dr. Shilpi and also by Shobha and Rajesh, is that, they becoming, they are adding on the numbers of awareness within their family and in the community. But what is very important, if there are steps and ownership that are taken at the government level, and cross-functional, cross-departmental engagement to resolve the big problem that is there, it is going to be very helpful. Yeah.
Thank you for taking that. I have a question here for Swati. What key points would you suggest for this program to look into considering for migrant population, as they have a wider role, not only in practicing this wherever they relocate, but also to bring about change in new locations beyond the current scope of the program?
Sure. So when they relocate either to very temporary work sites, which are sugarcane, harvesting, salt pans, and bricklands. So awareness definitely will help them in ensuring that how the disposal of waste management to be taken care of, its hazardous impact on their health and hygiene. One is that. Secondly, if they are relocating to urban areas, then definitely they are so impoverished, because you see, when they're migrating because they don't have any skills. And to urban areas, the only job could be that of a rag picker and all, which doesn't require any specialization. So I'm excited that there are efforts to bring act for rag pickers and all, and also solid waste management. So tying these things together will ensure that wherever they are, and also ensuring that wherever they are working, whether it's temporary or permanent settlements like slums and all, these components are taken care of. And it is just awareness need to be supplemented by strong acts, which will help in a more implementation, which is required, and it is the need of the hour to have a very safe and healthy environment around us. Definitely.
Thank you.
I would just
I would also like to add to what Swati said. It was very interesting to hear that. But having worked with the urban waste and the urbanites, actually, which is so difficult to bring awareness about with them on simple waste segregation. I feel the migrant people, they are mostly moving from rural to urban in search of employment opportunities. In fact, in rural, they are not creating so much of waste because they have not seen waste like this before. They don't consume like we urbanites do. And they don't have this habit of littering. And they don't have this habit of SUPs. They drink water, it's all, and they don't waste food like the way we waste food. So they make how much they want, they eat, or they put it in their backyard. Similarly, with respect to other packaging stuff, I don't think they consume like the way urbanites come. So in fact, we can transform this entire awareness, like these migrant people coming from rural, how they can be the change makers for the urbanites. So that will kind of empower them that, oh, they're not in some in a place that's not their hometown, but they're coming from a place and from with values that are very fundamentally required for the urban jungles.
Yeah, Shubha, we have another question for you. What is the change in the content you feel Sahas would want to make if given a chance, and how would you take all the learnings and incorporate that into the new curriculum?
Yeah, as I had already mentioned, that the content was quite focused on waste segregation and the types of waste and what is the responsibilities of children and how are they going to become future change makers. But a lot of things have changed in the last 2 years now. Like Dr. Shilpi mentioned, IQ to EQ, now it has to go to CQ, which is like consumption quotient. Okay, and that has to be instilled, that whether you consume less electricity, less water, less other lifestyle material, it's all about let's start. So even a title like this, if I may suggest without any offense, support my school mission. Instead of recycling project, we should be talking about mission reducing. Okay, so it starts with that the issues on recycling will definitely reduce. Now the entire burden is on recycling, but can we start from the source and start looking at consumption and reduction and reuse, which then reduces the problem of at a recycling part of the supply chain. So there will be a lot of change in content if there is a next phase to just focus on at source what is the responsibility of each of us on the stakeholder and how children can bring about that change by learning these new consumption patterns within their school premises.
Sure. We have a question for Dr. Shilpi. What would be realistic ways of engaging more students or student movements in the run-up towards attaining the SDGs?
Yeah, thank you, Swati. So that's a wonderful question. Our country, India, the lifestyle that we had ages ago was actually something called as a circular economy. Although the word was not existing in our terminology, but yes, we used to live a lifestyle which is more circular in nature. So to implement more and more SDGs through students, I would suggest that clubs like every schools and colleges should have SDG clubs. And these clubs should focus on making the schools and the premises aligned to all the SDGs. Each student should, like the students should be able to understand how to practically link their day-to-day activities and their their lifestyle with SDG, and check out back in their home that are their homes or the households are SDG friendly. Is there anything that they can do to reduce or like improve their consumption pattern? Is there anything that they can do to improve their energy efficiency? Is there anything that they can contribute in a small way also towards say a cleaner city approach or water consumption? So these are the SDGs are something which we deal into every day to day. So that is nothing something great or something extraordinary or high science or rocket science. So definitely just practicing SDG at your own level, you can contribute towards the global SDG goals.
Thank you. We have another question here. Will this program have new linkages with the academia and think tanks through building new consortiums, etc.? Dr. Suresh, would you like to take this?
So when you say new consortium kind of thing, our experience shows that when we did this program in one of the locations, this is the program they have showcased at national level by calling the students what the project they did it when they're making the national level video for the Swachh Bharat. And this is the one, the district level, the Swachh Bharat coordinator invited us and team members, students, made this for the, I say this is an advocacy point of view, at the same time being a district level authorities and kind of thing. So how they are promoting going beyond the program schools where we are working and kind of thing, showcasing these best practices, that is one thing. And second thing, the consortia we're talking about. So there's a great opportunity for all of us saying that, how best we can leverage the technology platform where we can showcase the things are happening at different parts of the country, where the best practices. So, if we want to talk in a big way about this waste management and create an awareness among the students and the community at large, and at a low cost and also very cost effective also. So, in the way forward kind of thing, next phase, how we can see this thing as an opportunity and pan-India level, going beyond the physical mode and going the virtual mode by way of showcasing and creating a buzz around it. And it is a people, those who did the great things and with waste management, it is an opportunity for them to showcase. It's a kind of motivation for them. And the people who are not doing anything, for them, it is a learning opportunity. And even they can add something from their side, and they come up with more innovative solutions. And especially the way forward, the focus also should be a little bit more in urban setup more, because where the concentration of the waste is very high compared to the rural segment. So keeping all this in mind when you're creating any consortium and bringing the people, the academia, especially from outside, we share the things with the most of the B schools when they visit to understand the ground level, how things are happening as part of the CSR and kind of thing. And also when we go to their colleges and to take some sessions on the various things, what we have been doing, that we share those things. So especially the academia talk about sustainability development, the programs and initiatives where the student is supposed to take up some kind of internship and projects as well. And there is a great opportunity, the linkages are there, synergy between what we have been doing and what they're supposed to do and learn. So such way we can build the bigger platform for this the kind of action.
Sure. Rajesh, would you have anything, any further points? Because of course CCIF will be very closely involved. So
I had just one add-on point to what Shobha was also earlier mentioning with respect to migrants or probably the underprivileged communities. And the reach of this program will be much higher if we have more children coming into the school. So any consortia or any additional program which facilitates more children, influx of more children and their attendance in these schools is certainly going to improve the quality and the reach of this program. Like, for example, if you have got a midday meal scheme which is going on in the school, so that is kind of like an incentive for the underprivileged communities to send their children to the schools, and that certainly is going to help further. And the messages are very clear. So whether it is for a slightly better privileged child or for an underprivileged child, while they go back to each of their own certain communities, obviously it will have the necessary impact that we are all expecting that this program should generate. So that's only one additional point that I wanted to make out.
So Rajesh, there are a couple of more questions here I see for you. And one of them which you can take. So one of the panelists spoke about responsible consumption and reduction, but do FMCGs really agree with this? Very few brands are actually doing things to change their current trends. What are the views? And adding to this, how would you see this program having a link with your company's mandate to not only make people aware, but also to get into action and advocacy initiatives?
All right, so I'll try to take that. responsible consumption is obviously a very key element in terms of managing the entire, I would say, the system related to waste management. So as part of our global program, which we called as World Without Waste, so we are looking at three key pillars. The first one, which is something which we call as design. So under design, the intent of the organization is to ensure that 100% of the packaging that we use should actually be recyclable. That's one component. The second component of it is that we also would like to reduce the overall footprint of our packaging through various measures, like you go for lightweighting of packaging materials, or there is an internal target where we are saying that we will reduce our virgin material intake by 50% by a certain year. Okay. The second part is something which we call as collection, where globally there is a commitment from the company saying that we'll collect 100% of our post-consumer packaging and ensure that it goes into the recycling stream. And that's not just limited to plastics or PET, it's related to all the packaging that we use. And the third one where we are talking about is something called as partnerships. So this current program that we are discussing about, or many such programs where we participate, is about partnerships. Now, partnerships can be related to technological advancements. It could be related to awareness raising. It could be related to bringing together the entire industry so that collectively we all start working towards solving the problem related to waste management, rather than each one of us individually trying to do something and get into a compete mode rather than a convergence mode. So this is what I had to say with respect to responsible consumption.
Thank you. I think that really sums up. I mean, there were a few other questions which whatever you've shared right now also covers, those questions as well. I think now we could conclude this panel discussion. It has been very, very interesting for me to, hear all your perspectives, very interesting insights, and I'm hoping this Support My School Mission Recycling project will benefit greatly from all the inputs that all the panelists have given in today. And with that, I would like to end the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Smita. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Smita. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, all the panelists, for all the fabulous inputs, the learnings and the challenges that all of you have expressed your views on. I'd like to thank Dr. Shilpi Karmakar, Shobha Raghavan, Dr. Suresh Reddy, Dr. Swati Jha, Sanyukta Chaturvedi, Rajesh Ayapilla to be a part of this as panelists. And thank you very much, Smita Polite, for moderating that so fantastically well. Friends, now we have more like a testimonial session. I'd like to invite Pratyush Das once again, Senior State Program Manager in India, Focal for SMSMR, to invite beneficiaries to share their thoughts about the project and impact it has created. They could be students, teachers, and he'll be walking us through across states to understand how the impact has reached all across. So it's over to you, Pratyush.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Once again, I would like to thank everyone and for those wonderful discussions that we just have. And at the same time, I would like to commend the efforts that the teams have put in on ground, be it our AIF's own team members or be it our implementing partner organization team members. Everyone has played their part. And that has definitely translated into a huge impact that we all are seeing. And there are a lot of life-changing stories that several of them would want to share. And it's so large a number that we couldn't accommodate everyone, but then we are trying our best to also pick out some of them from across locations and kind of have a short interaction with them to give them a chance to share their own learnings. Before I do that, before I invite some of them, I would just like to start with a couple of stories that we have taken from across several of the locations. And the first one that I would take up to is a story that I would like to bring to you from the state of Maharashtra. You can go to the next one, Goga. The next one. The next slide, please. Yeah. This morning, Ms. Divyani began in her address, and one of the examples that she had cited, which I just recollected, is about STEM models that are being prepared. And this is a story of a 13-year-old girl in her 7th grade from a school in Mumbai, where this program was actually launched. And this girl has actually been able to come up with a brilliant STEM model. And this is particularly a maths algorithm that she has created using a PET bottle, which was anyway supposed to be discarded. But then something very useful that she has made out of this. And the reason for sharing this is that this is not just something that she has prepared and is using for her own self, but this is something that she has shared with her class, and the entire school is now able to use this in understanding several of the basic concepts. And it has also helped several other students, encouraging them to come up with their own models using such kind of materials. The next story that I want to present is again from a boy who comes from a family of scrap dealers. And this is again from Maharashtra, where this child belongs to a family where the father is basically involved in scrap dealing. So prior to our program, where this child wasn't engaged, he wasn't able to understand or notice anything unusual about what his dad used to do. But right now, what is happening is that he has had an understanding about plastics, the various means and ways of using it. And this is just one of the examples where he has used several of those discarded PET bottles to make a broom. And his name is Piyush, and he says that he and his friends, as part of a club, are now making this kind of brooms regularly. And not only they are using it in their own homes, but they have also started handing out these brooms to the municipal workers in their areas, locations, and also in their schools. And then the last story that I would like to share is a story that comes from Madhya Pradesh. And this story is about the school taking an initiative after learning what all they were taught as part of the Support My Schools mission recycling about waste management. And this not only is just about solid waste, it's also about the liquid waste that comes out. And if you look at the photograph here that is shown as a before and after, you could see the efforts that the community has taken in converting the areas from what it was and to what it is right now. And the after picture is basically where you see that the community has a mechanism of having people who are deputed to regularly ensure the cleanliness of the environment. And lastly, I would take you all to a small video, which is basically a story that is coming in from Tamil Nadu, which I will not explain, but after seeing the video, we will have an interaction with one of the people in that videos. So let's go to Chennai and watch this video. Guga, can we get the video on, please?
கம்யூனிட்டி கிளாஸ் அட்டன் பண்ணுறேன். ஜெய்சங்கர், நான் ஊராட்சி ஒன்றிய நடுநிலை பள்ளி மேல்மணம்பூரில் 8th ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் படிக்கிறேன். அமெரிக்கன் இந்தியா ஃபவுண்டேஷனில் கம்யூனிட்டி கிளாஸ் அட்டன் பண்ணுறேன். மிஷன் ரீசைக்கிளிங் கிளாஸில் கழிவுகளை எப்படி பிரிக்கிறதுன்னு சொல்லி கொடுத்ததை பஞ்சாயத்துக்கும் மக்களுக்கும் விழிப்புணர்வு ஏற்படுத்துகிறேன்.
So this story is about two kids from the school, Jayashankar and Sandhya, whom you just saw on the video. And the efforts that they both have taken is basically that they have taken all the learnings from this program and they have gone ahead in influencing the community through taking a lot of capacity building sessions for the community leaders. So may I now invite Sandhya to join us from Tamil Nadu, wherein she would be sharing some of the efforts other than what you just saw on the video on ground. Hello, Sandhya. Welcome to this forum. May I request if someone along with Sandhya could help her to get any translations if required?
Yes, I'm here. I'll help her with that.
Yeah, so Sandhya, what we saw in the video is very encouraging about your efforts. So what are the new things that you are taking up as next steps beyond what you have been doing so far?
Sir, if we have models, we could explain other people very easily. They will understand well, sir.
Sanya, can you share your experience of how this was?
In the meeting, we have some models. We will explain clearly. They will understand well, sir.
Thank you, Sandhya. I think we missed some part of it, but what I get from is basically that you are also now encouraging children to come up with new models in your community. Thanks a lot, Sandhya. Now, can we go straight to Assam, where one of the SMC members, Ms. Najim Begum, is with one of the coordinators from the SRF Foundation. Can I request Funka to kindly join us along with Ms. Najim? So welcome, Ms. Najim. I would like to request you to share with us what has been your efforts after you learned about this program.
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम मिस नाज़िम बेगम। मैं कालीपुर से प्राथमिक विद्यालय SMC प्रेसिडेंट हूँ। सर, मैं आज मिशन रिसाइकलिंग के ऊपर मेरा अनुभव कैसा है मैं आप लोगों को बताना चाहती हूँ। हमें मिशन रिसाइकलिंग के बारे में पहले कुछ भी मालूम नहीं था सर। उसके बाद स्कूल का जो वॉलंटियर है, वॉलंटियर ने बच्चे लोगों को मिशन रिसाइकलिंग के बारे में सिखाया। वो बच्चे ने घर में जाके माता पिता को बोला और उसके बाद हमको बड़ा परिवर्तन देखने को मिला। और सर बड़ा परिवर्तन देखने को मिला। पहले हमारे गांव में बहुत सारा कचरा इधर उधर पड़ता रहता था। मिशन रिसाइकलिंग के जानकारी के बाद हमारे गांव में बड़ा परिवर्तन देखने को मिला है कि लोग कचरे को अलग अलग रखने लगे और गांव में कुछ लोग हर घर में जाके कचरे को भानासुरा व्यापार कर रहे हैं। हर घर में जाके भानासुरा व्यापार कर रहे हैं। उस व्यापार से उन लोगों को पैसा मिलता है और उन लोगों का घर चलता है। मिशन रिसाइकलिंग का प्रक्रिया से हमारे खेत में भी खेती का जो मिट्टी है वो भी अच्छा है और फसल भी अच्छा हुआ है, खेती बाड़ी भी अच्छा हुआ है। और बच्चे लोग कचरे को अलग अलग चीजों अच्छी चीजें बनाना सीखा है और उन लोगों का ज्ञान भी बढ़ रहा है। और गांव के लोगों को बच्चे ने गांव के लोगों को जागरूक करने के लिए नाटक भी किया है और गांव वालों भी मिशन रिसाइकलिंग के प्रक्रिया जानकर उन लोगों का भी बहुत अच्छा लगा है और बीमारी भी सर कम हो रहा है हमारे गांव में। और मिशन रिसाइकलिंग की प्रक्रिया लोगों को जागरूक किया है।
शुक्रिया नाजिम जी, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपके ये सारे जो आपने एफर्ट्स लिए हैं अभी। अब हम चलेंगे एक और जगह, वो है गुजरात भरूच में, जहाँ पे हमारे साथ भाई राजेश हैं और उनके साथ हमारे एक दो स्टूडेंट्स हैं और टीचर्स हैं जिन्होंने कुछ इनिशिएटिव्स लिया है भरूच में। भाई राजेश। कुछ कारणवश राजेश जी से हमारी संपर्क नहीं हो पा रही है। हम चलते हैं अब एक और जगह जहाँ पे हमारे साथ हैं जम्मू कश्मीर से आतिया। आतिया जो हैं वो हमारे साथ एक टीचर भी हैं जिन्होंने इस प्रोग्राम में शामिल होकर हमारी काफ़ी मदद करी है बच्चों तक पहुँचने में। आतिया, आप हैं वहाँ पे?
यस सर।
क्या आप सुन पा रहे हैं आतिया?
यस सर।
ओके। आतिया, आप बताइए कि इस प्रोग्राम के द्वारा आपने क्या सीखा और किस तरीके से आप इसको आगे लेके चल रहे हैं?
ओके सर, सबसे पहले तो मैं सबका AIF टीम का थैंक यू करूंगी कि उन्होंने मुझे ऐसा अपॉर्चुनिटी दिया कि मैं यहाँ के बच्चों को थोड़ा मोटिवेट करूं कि वो अपना जो भी उनके बच्चे बहुत ही ज़्यादा क्रिएटिव हैं, वो अपनी क्रिएटिविटी कहीं शो करें तो वो दिखाएं, अपने आप को थोड़ा आगे लेके जाएं। ऐसा यहाँ हमारे यहाँ पर ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटी बहुत कम मिलती है बच्चों को कि वो अपना हुनर जो है वो आगे दिखाएं। तो मैं बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि मुझे ऐसा अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली और जो ये यहाँ के हमारे बच्चे हैं काफ़ी क्रिएटिव हैं, उन्हें और वो बहुत ही ज़्यादा एक्साइटेड थे इस प्रोजेक्ट को लेके। उन्होंने बहुत कुछ सीखा, इनफैक्ट मैंने बहुत कुछ सीखा। तो जो हमारे टीम मेंबर थे, जो हमारे कोऑर्डिनेटर थे, उन्होंने बहुत सपोर्ट किया इस प्रोजेक्ट में हमें। जैसे अहमद सर हो गए, कृष्णा सर हो गए, शाहिद सर हो गए, उन्होंने मतलब हमेशा सपोर्ट किया कि आप थोड़ा उसको क्रिएटिव करो, बच्चों को थोड़ा मोटिवेट करो। तो यहाँ पर हमारे आई थिंक एनिमल्स हम बहुत रखते हैं यहाँ पर, इज कॉमन। तो हमने इनफैक्ट काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हैं जो मुझे भी नहीं पता था, जो मैंने भी सीखी नहीं। तो वो जब हमने कुछ वीडियोस बच्चों को दिखाए तो बच्चों को भी काफ़ी कुछ सीखने को मिला कि हमने क्या चीज़ नहीं सीखी है। तो वो जाके घर में अपने दिखाते हैं कि हमने आज ये चीज़ सीखी है, ये चीज़ें हमें नहीं करनी चाहिए, इससे हमें ही नहीं हमारे एनिमल्स को काफ़ी इफेक्ट हो रहा है। तो उन्होंने काफ़ी कुछ सीखा और वो उससे काफ़ी ज़्यादा खुश हुए। तो उन्हें ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली कि वो हमेशा इनफैक्ट वो आज भी कांटेक्ट करती है, मैम हमने और भी नई चीजें सीखी, हमने इससे और भी काफी कुछ नया बनाया है। तो वो बहुत खुश है इस प्रोजेक्ट को लेके। तो अभी भी वो ना सिर्फ अपने स्कूल में, अपने कम्युनिटी मेंबर्स में भी, अपने जो फ्रेंड सर्कल हैं उनमें या अपने नेबर में, आज भी वो बच्चे जो हैं उन सबको दिखाते हैं कि हमने ये चीज सीखी है, ये चीज हमने इससे पहले नहीं पता था कि इतनी हानिकारक होती है हमारे लिए।
शुक्रिया शुक्रिया फातिमा जी। आपने बहुत कुछ बहुत संक्षिप्त में बताया। और एंड आई जस्ट वांट टू इन्फॉर्म एवरीवन दैट वन ऑफ द स्टोरीज दैट was coming up earlier from some of our locations in Rajouri in Jammu is where most of the people are into cattle farming and particularly sheep rearing. And this program has to a great extent kind of influenced them to take a lot of steps, because they have a lot of inflow of tourists as well, and littering of plastic. So that is something that the communities have taken up. Thank you, Fatima ji. Now, speaking of creativity, let's go back to Tamil Nadu once again, where two of our students would like to speak something that they have made with plastics, and that is basically torch lights. And can I request Kuga to please join them?
Yes, yes. So I'm requesting Ritik to start your video.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is S. Kritik from Tyagarajar Model Higher Secondary School, Madurai, from Tamil Nadu. I am studying 8th standard, sir. Mission Recycling Support My School was taught by Vaishnava Devi ma'am. We learned a lot of things from this. We learned how to manage the waste, how to recycle the waste, how to reuse the waste, how to reduce the use of the plastic. So we learned a lot of things from this. Can I talk in Tamil?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, Kritik.
நீங்க பேசுங்க, நான் உங்களுக்கு சொல்லிடுவேன். Yes.
மேம் இதுல இருந்து நாங்க நிறைய கத்துக்கிட்டோம் மேம். அதுல ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸ் நிறைய பண்ணோம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நாங்க வைஷ்ணவ தேவி மேம் தான் எங்களுக்கு வந்து டீச் பண்ணாங்க. கொரோனா இஷ்யூஸ்னால நாங்க வந்து ஜூம் கிளாஸ்ல தான் படிச்சோம். ஜூம் கிளாஸ்ல வந்து படிச்சுட்டு அதுக்கடுத்து இது நிறைய ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸ்லாம் ஸ்கூல்ல போய் பண்ணோம், கேம்ஸ் பிளே பண்ணோம். அப்புறம் போஸ்டர் காம்படிஷன் வந்து ஸ்கூல்ல வந்துட்டு எங்களுக்கு கண்டக்ட் பண்ணாங்க. அப்போ நான் வந்துட்டு வைஷ்ணவ தேவி மேம் தான் பார்த்தேன். அவங்க தான் நிறைய சொல்லி கொடுத்தாங்க. அப்புறம் நான் வந்துட்டு நிறைய ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸ் பண்ணேன். என்னையும் பிளாஸ்டிக்கை வச்சு நிறைய கிராஃப்ட்லாம் பண்ணேன். அப்புறம் இதுல இருந்து நான் நிறைய கத்துக்கிட்டேன். அப்புறம் நான் ஃபியூச்சர்ல இன்னும் நிறைய ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸ் பண்ணலான்னு இருக்கேன். நெய்பர்ஹுட்ஸ் எங்க ஏரியாலலாம் நிறைய பிளாஸ்டிக்லாம் கலெக்ட் பண்ணி அதை ரீசைக்கிளிங் பண்றவங்ககிட்ட கொடுத்து.
Kuga, can I request you to kindly translate for the parts that he has already spoken?
Yes. So far he was telling us his experience, how the AIF coordinator was taking classes for him. So this was this due to Corona situation. This was a Zoom class for him. And apart from that, in this Zoom class, he also participated in a lot of games and competitions. And he's also helped his peers and community members to bring awareness on this. So right now, he is just sharing about how he's collected waste from his community and how he's recycling it. Yes.
Okay. Can you just ask him to quickly present to us what exactly has he created?
Ritik, நீங்க என்ன பண்ணிருக்கீங்கன்னு காட்ட முடியுமா எங்களுக்கு? இப்போ
நான் வந்துட்டு பிளான்ட்ஸ் வச்சிருக்கேன் மேம். இந்த வாட்டர் பாட்டில், பெட் பாட்டில்ஸ்லாம் கட் பண்ணி அதுல பிளான்ட்ஸ் வச்சேன் மேம்.
அப்புறம் அதை காட்ட முடியுமா உங்களால எங்களுக்கு?
மேம் இல்ல மேம், அது இப்ப என்கிட்ட இல்ல மேம். அது
okay. So Pratish, she was sharing that he's done a lot of planting out of pet blocks.
மேம் அது இப்ப எங்க ஸ்கூல்ல இருக்கு மேம்.
Okay, and that is in his school right now.
Okay,
he has planted all this pet bottle based plants in his school, and he's also helped his peers to also do the same thing. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Kriti. And can we now go back to
we have few more members from TN students who is here. I can ask them to share next.
Who else is there? Can we do it quickly?
Yes.
We're running short of time.
Thank you. I think your camera on.
Thank you, ma'am.
Vignesh?
Yeah, hello Vignesh. I'll
This is
quickly ask you.
Palak. This is Palak from the school. Yes, Palak, நீங்க share பண்ணலாம் உங்க experience.
Goga, can you just ask basically the key learnings that he has and what exactly has he done now?
Yes, yes. Palak, நீங்க பண்ண அந்த torch light காட்ட முடியுமா எங்களுக்கு? Ha. Okay. Okay. So share நீங்க என்ன பண்ணிருக்கீங்கன்னு share பண்ணுங்க.
So what motivated him to come up with this idea?
பாலக், நீங்க உங்களோட இது எப்படி உங்களுக்கு இது இன்ஸ்பயர் ஆச்சு இத பண்ணனும்ட்டு?
விக்னேஷ் சார் ஸ்கூலுக்கு வந்திருந்தாங்க. ஸ்கூலுக்கு வந்துட்டு இந்த மாதிரி காம்படிஷன் எங்களை காண்டாக்ட் பண்ணாங்க.
ஓகே.
நான் அதை வச்சுட்டு தான் எனக்கு இந்த மாதிரி ஐடியா வந்தது. பெட் எல்லாம் சொல்லி கொடுத்தாங்க. ரீசைக்கிள், ரெடியூஸ் எல்லாம் சொல்லி கொடுத்தாங்க. அதை வச்சு தான் எனக்கு இந்த மாதிரி ஐடியா வந்தது, டார்ச் லைட் பண்ணலாம்னு சொல்லிட்டு.
ஓகே. இது நீங்க வேற யாருக்காவது சொல்லிருக்கீங்களா?
சொல்லியிருக்கேன். என்னோட ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் அண்ட் கம்யூனிட்டி ரிலேஷன் எல்லாத்துக்குமே ஷேர் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். அவங்களுக்கு இதை மாதிரி நிறையா நான் மோட்டிவேஷன் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். எல்லாம் பண்ண சொல்லி ஃப்ரெண்டுக்கு நிறையா மோட்டிவேஷன் பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கேன். அவங்க ட்ரை பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. நானும் இதை மாதிரி நிறையா ட்ரை பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன்.
Yes, thank you. So he is explaining, saying that the session was the main motivation for him. The AIF coordinator, Mr. Vignesh, has been a great support for him in this, and he's created this, and he's also motivated. He's created a torch light out of recycled plastic, and he's also motivating his peers and community members to make a lot of useful things with the plastic recycle, not just decorative things.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Pali. And can I now go to one of our headmasters of a school in Odisha, who has been engaged with us through the LAMP program there in Nuapada. Can I request Mr. Sushant Bagh to join us?
Sir,
Mr. Sushant Bagh, are you there? Okay, maybe we are unable to reach out to him. We will go to Uttarakhand, where we have teacher Mr. Lalit Mohan Mishra, and he has taken up certain special efforts in promoting this program, not only in his school but across some of the other schools in his locality. Can I invite Mr. Lalit Mohan Mishra?
Good afternoon, sir. Manish from Almora.
हाँ मनीष जी.
सर टीचरों की ने 12 बजे से सर यहाँ मीटिंग थी एक, तो सारे टीचर
मनीष जी ठीक है मनीष जी. हाँ बताइए, आप बताइए कि ललित मोहन जी ने क्या इनिशिएटिव दिए थे. मनीष जी बताइए, आपने म्यूट कर दिया.
सर ललित मोहन मिश्रा जी, सर ये बार मैसेज, एक सेकंड.
ओके
सर ललित मोहन मिश्रा जी, सर जीआईसी लोधिया एक स्कूल है अल्मोड़ी में, सर वहाँ टीचर है साइंस के, एलटी.
जी.
तो सर वो था अल्मोड़े का, वो स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट है. मीन्स कोई भी अगर गाड़ी आती है तो पहले वहां पर चेक होती है, उसके बाद वो अल्मोड़े को आती है. तो हमारे यहाँ प्रोग्राम चला था, तो यहाँ ऐसा होता था कि एक बसें रुकती थी, जीवर रुकती थी, लोग कोल्ड ड्रिंक पीते थे, जब प्लास्टिक में पानी पीते थे, प्लास्टिक की बोतल्स में, तो वहां पर फेंक देते थे कूड़े में. तो जब हमारा एमआर का प्रोग्राम चला, हमने इनको बताया पीईटी के बारे में और इसके नुकसान, अगर इसको ऐसे फेंके रहेंगे इसके नुकसान के बारे में और इसकी रिसाइकलिंग के बारे में. तो उनके मन में एक आइडिया आया कि उन्होंने अपने स्कूल के गार्डन्स में बहुत सारे पेड़ लगाए थे, छोटे. तो अभी छोटे पेड़ थे, तो वहाँ क्या होता था, गाय भैंस बकरियां चढ़ने को भी आती थी स्कूल के गार्डन में. तो जो भी वो पेड़ पौधे लगाते थे वो उनके चर के खत्म कर देते थे. तो जब हमने ये प्रोग्राम चलाया एमआर स्कूल में, तो जब हमने बताया तो उनको एक आइडिया आया कि जो ये बोतलें पड़ी है, क्यों ना इनको इकट्ठा करके उसके चारों ओर एक ऐसी दीवार बना दी जाए जिससे कि वो जो पेड़ पौधे हैं वो बच भी जाएं और पीईटी का भी हम सही यूज, रिसाइकिल सही यूज से कर सकें. तो उन्होंने क्या किया कि तार से हर उसमें छेद करके बोतल में, तो एक चारों ओर एक दीवार टाइप की बना दी पौधे की. जिससे क्या हुआ कि पीटी भी रिसाइकिल हो गई और पौधे भी जानवरों द्वारा खाने से बच गई। सर ये इनिशिएटिव था उनका।
ओके, थैंक यू। अब हम समय बहुत कम है, इसलिए मैं थोड़ा जल्दी जा रहा हूँ। अब हम वडोदरा जाएंगे, जहाँ पे हमारे टीम के साथ विपुल परमार जी है, और वहाँ पे हमारे एक सीआरसी हैं जो कम्युनिटी रिसोर्स कोऑर्डिनेटर है। बेसिकली इट्स काइंड ऑफ अ टीचर हु takes care of several other teachers training in the area. Can I request Rajendra Singh, Ishwar Singh Pawar to join us? नमस्कार राजेश जी, क्या आप बहुत संक्षिप्त में बताएंगे कि आपका अनुभव कैसा रहा और आप इस प्रोग्राम को आगे किस तरीके से ले जा रहे हैं?
प्रोग्राम में बोला। हाँ, मैं राजेंद्र पवार बोल रहा हूँ और SMSMR प्रोग्राम का नाम SMSMR है, और ये प्रोग्राम काफ़ी अच्छा है। बड़ौदा के बच्चों के प्लास्टिक के उपयोग के बारे में और उसके होने वाले प्रदूषण के बारे में जानकारी मिली, और प्लास्टिक बॉटल का उपयोग हम लोग गार्डनिंग में करते हैं। उसके बॉटल काट के और उसके अंदर हम फूल झाड़ लगवाते हैं। बाद में हम उस दूसरा बॉटल काट के फिर फूल लगा के और उसको हम लोग उसका कचरा पेटी बनाते हैं। फिर जो प्लास्टिक बॉटल होते हैं उससे नई चीजें बनाते हैं हम लोग। और
आपके अनुभव से आप ये, क्योंकि आप सीआरसी हैं, तो ये जो आपने सीखा है इसको आप बाकी टीचर्स के साथ किस तरीके से आप उनको बताते हैं इसके बारे में?
मैंने जो सीखा ना सर, वो हम लोग टीचर से उसको बताते हैं। टीचर को कि ये ऐसे बॉटल से ये करना है, वो करना है। नई चीज हम लोग सिखाते हैं और छोटे छोटे बच्चे को भी हम लोग सिखाते हैं, और हमारा हर रोज का प्रोग्राम है पहले से।
ठीक है, शुक्रिया। Now can we go to Karnataka quickly to speak with Mr. Jairam? He is a BRP, which is basically a block resource person.
Yes, sir. Namaskar, sir. Good morning, everyone, sir.
Namaskar. Are you comfortable with English?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to quickly ask, there has been a lot of wall painting that was done through this program in Karnataka. What has been your experience, and how do you feel this has helped in promoting awareness about this?
Okay, sir. This last year SMSMR program is implementation in our schools in Chikmagalur Taluk, sir, from AIF with support of Coca-Cola. They trained us on pollution and effect of plastic use in our nature. We learned waste management and types of FED. Our students participated in many competitions, sir. After this program, in each classroom, we are using different dustbins, and important, we are using correct type of PET bottles for drinking water. Thanks to AIF and Coca-Cola for giving this wonderful opportunity, sir. In SMSMR program, AIF done well painting some do's and don't in our schools. After observing that message, I have requested AIF team to write on my office compound wall. It is very informative and useful, sir. So it is attracting more people and seeding the information to the community. Thanks to AIF and Coca-Cola, I am requesting, sir, the team who are involving this program, kindly select some more schools in our district and orient more number of students, sir. Teachers and community on plastic resource, reuse, recycle, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Can we now quickly go to just one last place? Last two places. One in Amreli. Can we just quickly go up to Amreli, where we have Mr. Rathod Murabhai. Yeah. Can I request Vinod?
Namaste, sir.
नमस्ते विनोद, क्या जल्दी से जल्दी, हमारे पास और समय बहुत कम है, क्या आप जल्दी से राठौड़ जी को बताएंगे कि अपने एक्सपीरियंस के बारे में?
हाँ, मैं मयूर ही बोल रहा हूँ।
जी, आप बोलिए, आपका क्या अनुभव रहा है इस प्रोग्राम के द्वारा और किस तरीके से आप इसको आगे लेके जा रहे हैं बच्चों के संग और कम्युनिटीज के संग स्पेशली?
सपोर्ट माय स्कूल मिशन रिसाइकल प्रोग्राम से हमें बहुत सी नई जानकारी प्राप्त हुई। बच्चों को प्लास्टिक अवेयरनेस और वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट के बारे में बहुत सी पता चली। वो गीला और सूखा कचरा अलग अलग रखते हैं, गीला कचरे का हम खाद बना सकते हैं, वो भी उनको पता चला। वो इस तरह स्कूल में भी हम ऐसा करते हैं, गीले कचरे का खाद बनाने का एक कार्य करते हैं। फिर प्लास्टिक की बोतलें बच्चे अपने साथ लेकर आते हैं, उनसे वो बन सके उतनी चीजें बनाते हैं। प्लास्टिक की बोतल का वेस्ट डाल सके उसका डब्बा भी बना है, और प्लास्टिक की बोतल में हो सके उतने छोटे पौधे भी लगाते हैं घर पे।
अच्छा, और कम्युनिटी में आपको किस तरीके से मदद मिलती है इसके बारे में?
हाँ, और बच्चों ने अपने घर पे बताया ना, तो घर पे भी उनको सपोर्ट मिलता है। वो लोग भी घर पे बताते हैं प्लास्टिक की बोतल का हम कम उपयोग करें, हो सके तो उतना उपयोग करें। प्लास्टिक की थैलियाँ होती है उसका कम उपयोग करते, उसके जगह कापड़ से बनी थैली का उपयोग करने लगे हैं सब।
अच्छा, ठीक है, शुक्रिया। Last but not the least, we will go down to Karnataka, where we have a teacher, Bharti ji. Hello.
Hello, yes sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, Bharti ji. Just wanted to quickly ask you about this program's influence on you, your teacher, colleagues, and also the students in your school.
So as a result of this project, sir, our students, children are insisting their parents to carry the cloth bag for marketing, sir. And they are preparing with the help of the PET bottles, they are preparing some innovative materials like piggy bank, then flower vase, then sprinkler like this. And even I made a TLMs with the help of this one, PET bottles caps, and it is multi-purpose.
Okay.
And I'm very glad to share you that. So the AIF team has conducted a competition in our school on best out of waste. So in that, I'm surprised to see that children came up with the new ideas. So they prepared many useful materials, and AIF team also encouraged the children with the excellent prizes and the certificates. So it was like a peace celebration. So now in the waste agreement, actually the children did not have the idea of segregating the waste. So when they came to know about the wet and dry segregation, so now they are using one more step ahead. They are using kitchen waste to decompose and using their in their plants.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing and for all the initiatives that you and your teams are taking. I will conclude this session, and I would just like to share a message that we have received from the Honorable Minister of Education from the Government of Odisha. Can I request Aditya to please share the message of the Honorable Minister from Odisha?
It has been our privilege to be in association with the American Indian Foundation for the SMS mission recycling project, which aims at creating awareness on recycling of waste as a powerful message. Though this campaign, the Coca-Cola India supported program, supported my school's mission recycling along with the American Indian Foundation, was implemented in 500 schools of Odisha, from 200 schools in Baragarh and 282 schools in Cuttack districts, 80 schools in Nuapara and 18 schools in Ganjam districts, with the aim to sensitize 45,518 students. The project worked with 5,838 teachers to turn them into ambassadors of change on the issue of solid waste management and recycle, reduce and reuse of PET bottles. It has been an absolutely amazing experience to work with the American foundations for their support My School Mission Recycle Phase 3 programs. On behalf of the Education Department Odisha, I praise the efforts of American India Foundation and the Coca-Cola Foundation to have it a great success.
Thank you. Over to Sangeeta.
Thank you very much, Pratyush, for that live interaction. It really did give an idea of the spread of this wonderful mission support My School Mission Recycling project. Thank you very much. Friends, for the concluding remarks for this webinar, I would like to invite Ms. Shelly Gupta, who is a sustainability professional working with Coca-Cola as the sustainability manager with more than 13 years of experience in sustainability strategy and implementation. She has worked with some of India's largest corporates, streamlining their sustainability agenda, promote stakeholder engagement to better implement sustainable practices. She's also worked with international donor agencies. Her experience in waste management comes from working closely with ULBs on developing sanitation plans. She holds an MBA in international business and is a finance graduate. So Shelly Gupta, may I request you to present the concluding remarks for this webinar.
Thank you. Thank you, Sangeeta. Hi, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay, great. So good afternoon, everyone. I am Shelly Gupta. I work with Coca-Cola and I was fortunate enough to see this project taking shape. First and foremost, I would like to thank all of you for being here and taking time out of your busy schedules. We appreciate the engagement and candor that all of you have contributed to this workshop. For me, it was a special experience to see the actual impact this project has created in the last few years. The stories and the case studies that were presented today will continue to inspire us and tell us that we are on the right path. It was so good to see how involved students, teachers, and all our community members are, and also that there is so much more to learn from them. Support My School Mission Recycling project phase 2, which started in 2020, and despite of the challenging time we all faced over the past year, continued to achieve its 3 key objectives, which were to make students the ambassador of change that we all want to see for a healthier and sustainable planet, educate them and others about waste segregation and reuse and recycle management, and lastly, to find common elements with existing initiatives on waste management. What we noticed today was a remarkable change through this project in knowledge, awareness, attitude and practices of these students and teachers, and how they can continue to recycle and reuse this plastic. We also noticed that the program has given due focus to keep the exchange of learning interactive rather than only theoretical, which is absolutely necessary. Sessions which were developed in partnership with Sahas Zero Waste were delivered with the aid of activity-based learnings, board games, posters, do-it-yourself kits, questions, answers, sessions, along with PowerPoint presentations. Unfortunately, phase 2 was implemented at a challenging time, and considering the virtual mode of delivery required, I'm glad to say that the team was quick to adapt and create theme-specific content, which was attractive, innovative, and engaging for the students, and easy to use, even without the teacher and coordinator assistance. I would like to especially thank Smita and all our panelists for sharing their insight and experience, which reflect learnings and of course challenges that we face while we campaign for action. What we saw was the learnings that we got today, Rajesh talked about the need for further engagement and increase the influx of students to schools for scaling up the benefits that we can get from this program. We heard about the experience of Sanyukta shared, where the project that was able to change the mindset of school authorities and to revitalize the environmental clubs. I think we have gained a better understanding about the hurdles that we are yet to cross, both at policy level and in implementation level. Shobha very nicely shared her views on the changes that are needed, both at the policy level and at a school level, both in curriculum as far as and also the infrastructure to promote healthy behaviors. Dr. Swati mentioned that how this project was able to bring the children from migrant population under its folds and sensitize the community members. For me, it was also good to understand from Dr. Rajesh how unique both the phases of these projects have been, and adaptability that was brought due to the current situation, and how the quality of leadership is promoted through this program by creating these Swachh Vidyalaya committees. Dr. Shilpi mentioned how important it is to impart right knowledge at a very young age, and it does have a cascading effect. And most importantly, it is time that we should start looking at waste as a resource. At the end, I would also like to thank all the participants who have raised pertinent questions throughout this panel discussion. And these questions do push us to think harder. Last but not the least, I would like to thank and congratulate the team of AIF for successfully implementing this project and organizing this very engaging workshop. Let's take what all we have learned today back with us. Let's continue to segregate, recycle, reuse. I wish all of you a very happy weekend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shelley. And you rightly said, creating awareness and changing mindsets, I think half the battle is won. Thanks once again. I'd now like to invite Kavita Srivastava, Director, Strategic Partnerships, AIF. Kavita has 25 years of experience in fundraising and banking at various international and domestic nonprofits and banks. Having started her career in the banking sector, she successfully transitioned into development space in the last decade. Over the years, she has developed the art of sustainable fundraising, thus contributing towards the larger cause. She has nurtured strategic partnerships, relationship management, marketing and communications, and donor servicing as key skills. May I request you, Kavita, to propose a vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Sangeeta. This was indeed a very engaging session, loads to learn, and loads that we saw students do. So thank you very much, the students who participated in this, giving us their interactive sessions, telling us the changes that they've helped us bring about. So on behalf of AIF and Coca-Cola, we would like to thank all the participants who joined us in this workshop through live streaming, whether it was watching through Facebook or through the YouTube live streaming. We would like to thank the dignitaries, Devyani, Matthew, Rajesh sir, for being and encouraging us on this for this project. We would like to thank the panelists that were there. Thank you, Smita, for moderating the panel discussion. I would also like to thank the various students, teachers, government officials, school authorities for their support. But most importantly, the 18 lakh students that we worked with, who helped us and enabled us to help them, teach them, and take forward all the learnings into action. A special thank you to Shelley and the team of Coca-Cola to help us put this workshop together, to help us in this project. To our donor, like I said, Coca-Cola, for giving us the opportunity and trusting us through the second phase of implementation. We would like to thank Team Sahas for the content that has been created, which is so meaningfully able to explain and depict the kind of work that can be done, its problems, and helping in creating solutions. Thank you to our implementation partners on the ground, SRF Foundation, World Vision, Plan India, for relentlessly working with us to make a meaningful contact and helping us implement this project so successfully. Last but not the least, the people behind the scenes on this workshop, who made this happen, made it seamless, Shreya, Puneet, Aditya, Kriti, Pooja, Pratyush, for bringing all this together and making it a success. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day ahead and have a good weekend.